Hey everyone, Rascal here.
And Mama, welcome to our podcast.
Today we're covering the anime, The Millionaire Detective.
Balance Unlimited.
Yes, that's a long title.
Just listen to that title. It sounds awesome, doesn't it? Okay, well it is. And it's a really fun new twist on the buddy cop detective show trope. And we absolutely love it. And if you can't tell by my voice.
Right. And before we start, be sure to like, subscribe, and click notification bell to updates on future podcasts and all the pause videos.
Absolutely. If you haven't watched this anime, you're really missing out. It came out during the time of C-19.
Yes.
And so it hit hard. It was really popular online, on Twitter. Especially women were wanting to see this anime, including me, simply because the lead character, Daisuke Kanbei, and how he looks. And then it got put on hold for a while.
Right. And then apparently in late of 2020, it finally premiered. And they didn't really get a dub until about last year because of the restrictions. So it unfortunately affected the popularity a little bit. The ones who were still sticking with it and waiting for it came back and watched it. But for others, they either forgot about it because of what was going on with the world, or things came up that they saw about the show and they lost interest because they didn't stick around to see what it was. They thought it was something else entirely.
This is one of those rare times when it's good that I like the way a character looks and I just want to see it because of that. Because as I am, if I am drawn by a character and I watch it and the anime is not good or the show's not good, I will quit watching. But in this case, it worked out really well. Wanted to see it. It's on Crunchyroll. We watched the first episode. We watched it first, dubbed. And I don't know, there was something kind of missing in the dub. No offense to the voice actors. And normally we watch dubbed anime, sometimes subbed. So this time we said, well, let's watch the second episode subbed. And it was hilarious and fantastic and perfect. So in this instance, the sub is absolutely exemplary. And again, if you like dubbed, and if you haven't seen this at all, then it may work for you. But if you're choosing between the two, for this one, the sub is stellar. It is just fantastic.
Right? And there are only 11 episodes. It doesn't even hit 12. And for a while, we gotta bring this up firsthand, is that it was really shorter than most anime, but it does tell a pretty hard-hitting story by the time it gets towards the last few episodes.
Now, as of this recording, and a few days ago, it got renewed for season 2 coming out in 2023.
Yes. And the only thing that really had come out about the show after the anime is that they did a live-action stage play that was supposed to be continuing the story after the anime, sort of like a stage play movie. And personally, I think they should have just done an anime movie or a second season, which they're doing the second season now. So we don't know if they're just going to do a whole nother story, or they're going to take the play, adapt into season 2, or our person would have just made a movie, turn the play into a movie, and turn it into an anime.
So hopefully you see the picture of them in the uniforms, which they don't wear at all during season 1, but I would sure love to see it in season 2. Okay, that being said, from what Rascal has told me, there were other versions of this that came out prior to this one. So first we'll tell you about this version that aired, and it centers around Daisuke Kanbei, who is really a billionaire, but I guess because it was originally titled Millionaire Detective, they stuck with that. And Haru Kato, who is a police officer on the police force in Japan. And Daisuke, for some reason, which we find out later, wants to suddenly be a detective on the force.
Yes.
And it starts out one way, turns midway into something else, and ends on a whole different note.
Right.
And we can't tell you a lot of what happens in terms of that, or it will ruin the surprises. But there's a lot of plot twists. There's mystery. There's crime solving. Yes, there's murder, and there's a whole lot of comedy, and just seeing the dynamic between Daisuke and Haru. And it's a lot of fun, and it's really engaging, and it's really, really just a great anime that's really underappreciated.
Yes.
So tell them about the original versions that you read.
Well, apparently this was a novel, or you could say a light novel, back in the 70s, actually. And it was popular for its time. And then about, I think, 10 years later, or even 20, they made a manga adaptation with only 1 or 2 volumes. It was just trying to tell the whole story in just 1 or 2 volumes and be done. Then later on, I think in the 2000s or 2010s, well, the early 2010s, they did a live action adaptation. But the key thing is that they switched Daisuke, gender bent him to being a female. So Daisuke was a woman for that version of the series, and most people don't even know about that. I didn't even know it existed until looking up online. And then 10 years later, now they got this anime where it's sort of in its own way a reboot, kind of like how Troll Hunters was vastly different from its book counterpart on Netflix. Millionaire Detective kind of takes a reboot approach and makes up its own story, while it's just telling you it's based off the original book. Because so many things are different from when it was written, they kind of just make up their whole nother story. It's in modern day, there's technology, people have money to burn. They
has money to throw,
right?
Checks to write.
They said the technology everywhere. There's all sorts of comedy, there's bigger mysteries and things, so they really try to up the scale of it in modern day.
And it starts off really funny in the first few episodes because in Daisuke's mind, it seems like when you're watching it, they allude to a fact that he has been in America for some time and he's returned to Japan, and in his mind, everything can be paid for. And he doesn't just write out a check or send funds electronically for the amount that's due. He says, oh, double, oh, triple. And they're like, but you don't have to do that. Yes, you can do that. Yes, that is fine. You pay me triple for my car. That's fine.
Yes.
And so he and Haru butt heads because Haru definitely, by the way he dresses, he acts, and he looks, long before I saw it online, I told Rascal, I said, he's got to be either American or one of his parents is American, because he had this work ethic, morals and values, and he's like, you can't solve everything with money, and that's where they were butting heads. And he kind of didn't, not dislike him, but he didn't like how he handled everything, writing out checks and transferring money instantly by wire.
Right.
And so that's how it started off, but it made for some hilarious moments in the beginning.
Right.
He's like, what are you doing? And I have to say before you get to this, the expressions that Haru Kato makes, I would sit for an hour and just watch him making those expressions and his crazy body language and all the sounds he makes. That's worth an hour by itself.
Yes, a compilation.
Yeah.
And then he actually has an interesting backstory. You kind of get his first before Daisuke's, because Daisuke's is the focus point for the main part of the anime.
And he's clearly the main MC, because in the thumbnails he's up front, and it's called The Millionaire Detective.
Right. So you understand, he's just the co-protagonist, Daisuke's the main one, but you understand it's the two of them as the leads.
Right, exactly.
And for Haru, he's got actually a pretty interesting backstory, because it looks like the anime, they decided to take more inspiration from Western cop and detective shows,
and
where
Batman.
Right, and it shows that he was originally part of the higher ups in the force until there was an accident on his watch he felt guilty for, and he decided to take a lower rank, and it also affected his aim and shooting. And it's pretty interesting because they even start watching some of the old cop shows. You don't know what they're referencing. It might just be a standard generic one, but they're taking reference from the old detective shows, the old cop shows that they would have.
Including Lethal Weapon.
Yes.
Including Lethal Weapon.
You're right.
So, again, it's a fun watch. It is engaging. There's a great story. And there's a little speeding up of it.
Yeah.
I guess because of the amount of episodes, you can tell they really wanted to tell a longer story, but they didn't get to. But the great thing is, even with the 12 episodes, there's a lot of character development, and you see it happen. It's not like, okay, in this scene, this person is this way, and then the next episode, he's made a jump, and you're like, well, where's the character development coming?
Yeah, he's already developed for 40 episodes in one episode.
But you see it happen, and episode 4 is going to become your favorite episode. We would love to tell you, watch that episode first, but you gotta watch 1, 2, and 3 for 4 to really be as fun as it ends up being, as well as again, more character development between their partnership, and finding out more about each one of them. And the great thing is it's done within the episode. It's not thrown in your face. There's no backstories and montages.
Right.
It's just their interactions, and what happens within an episode tells you so much about each character that you really want to know, and they brilliantly put it into one 20-some minute episode.
Right.
That has become the fandom favorite.
Yes. And the other thing you got to bring up is that when it gets like towards the end, if you've seen it along with maybe the stage play they had, it's kind of hinted that this is going to go beyond just the standard trope route with them solving crimes in the city. It's kind of hinted they're going to be doing international crimes or going to the West for some of the cases and things. And it sounds like that's going to be maybe the format of season 2. Or they just go back and that was just for the end of it. But that would be interesting because you would want to see how they interact with other people outside of Japan, how they handle mysteries. Because we kind of get the saying is that there's more crime everywhere else than Japan, especially when you get to the States. And it's like, you kind of get embarrassed. It's like, come on now. It's not that bad.
Now, we love them both, but if you haven't figured it out already, Daisuke's my favorite, Haru is Rascals, but we love them both. Mm-hmm. If you haven't seen it, it's available on Crunchyroll, all 12 episodes. Exclusively, it's available for sale on Amazon. One version with Daisuke's picture on the cover is $100, but it's sold out. I checked the other day, believe it or not. And the second version, or number 2, has Haru focus on the merchandising on the cover, and that one's $122. Yes, the Millionaire's version was cheaper than Haru's.
Yes.
So the only way you can see it is either buying it on DVD or going through Crunchyroll. So we're excited. Crunchyroll will be getting a season 2 for this. If you've seen it, let us know what you think in the comments below. Do you have a favorite episode? We know it's number 4. Do you have a favorite detective? I know it's Daisuke. And if you haven't seen it, that'll be fine too. I love Haru. And if you haven't seen it, give it a watch. Come back and let us know what you think in the comments as well.
Yes. And if you haven't already, subscribe for updates and weekly videos on your favorite anime series, animated shows, and all things animation.
And we want to say this, and I think it needs to be said, it's kind of like Tiger and Bunny. Some people take them as BL, some take them as straight, we take them as straight. I think the writers have left it like Tiger and Bunny season 1, where it's up to the viewer to decide how they are.
Right.
So when you watch it, don't go in with any preconceived notion or what's being said on the internet or Twitter. Just watch it and decide for yourself.
Yeah, which is a smart way to do it because then you can satisfy both sides.
Absolutely.
So, thank you for watching. I'm Rascal Entertainment.
And I'm Mom Entertainment.
Have a fantastic day.
Peace.